People are indeed watching. All right. Let me get my timer real quick. That is my camera, not my timer. That is also. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming for this short little presentation. And so today's topic is why we need to work on keeping the converts that we have been experiencing in Orthodox Christianity. So, as an introduction, we are part of an unprecedented surge of converts to Orthodox Christianity. Each and every one of us are either catechumens or have already converted. None of us here in this room, as far as I'm aware, is born into the faith. We are all converts. And this has been an immense blessing to, of course, the converts, but also to the churches. But it's also been a bit of a burden as well because of, well, the issues that it's making worse and the new issues that are starting to come about. And so we, as people and as both catechumens and converts, we have the duty to share this burden with those who have already been born into the faith. So there are really two main problems that we have been facing now because of the surge, and that is the ongoing priest shortage. And, well, nobody was expecting for this surge to happen. And so the priest shortage has been going on for decades at this point. And as of last year, the OCA alone was almost 100 priests short. So that means in the OCA alone, almost 100 individual parishes do not have a permanent priest. And if you take all the other jurisdictions into account, you can imagine how much bigger that number really is. And then with the converts, that means there's even more people per priest. And so there are many priests who split time between parishes and are essentially just traveling between cities and don't even have their own permanent parish, essentially. And then with the fact that we have not expected this to happen, nobody knows what to do. So we see now that many of the young people have been coming in, and some of them have been young men, some young women, less young women than men, but also families. And what we see is that a lot of us are not really connected to the faith at all before we converted. We looked up Christianity online, Christian history, found the Orthodox Church, didn't know a single soul who was Orthodox, just started attending. Maybe you talked to the priest before going in, maybe not. And that's been good for a more educated populace, but you know, it's a little bit hard when there are, you know, a bit of a chasm between those who have been born to the faith and those who are converts. Because now we have these ethnic parishes that are Greek or Bulgarian or Russian with a bunch of American converts. And so we are seeing these problems where some credos feel like they're being forced out. And that's obviously not a good thing because their souls matter as much as yours. And it's not your fault either because you're supposed to be welcomed into the community and welcomed into the church and be made part of it, not made to be alongside of it, but make it one whole community. And so I feel like the tensions that we're seeing between cradles and converts in some parishes have been really negatively impacting those who are converting, those who are inquiring, and those who have already converted staying. Because if you're surrounded by people and surrounded by these tensions, it's not going to be a good thing. You're either going to move parishes or you just might leave Orthodoxy. And that's not a great thing. So we have to be really in the full scope of this so that way we don't alienate either group. And so we need to make sure that we welcome people into a community that's already pre-existing while not making that pre-existing community feel left out. And so what we're doing right now is actually what I really think has been helping, and that is young adult groups. I mean, all of us here are part of our parish's young adult group. We've gone to the Koinonia Akron group, which is a pan-Orthodox group for young adults. I mean, we all have experienced the loneliness epidemic, whether that's directly or we know people who are just depressed or have anxiety because they're lonely. And so with this, we're able to connect with everyone. I mean, we're here in the physical world face to face, not online watching dire edits. And then we also need to make sure that when we get families or when we see families, we can have these family groups. So that way we can make sure these future generations of Orthodox Christians stay Orthodox Christians. And so we're acting now, but we have to continue to act into the future. And so if we do this, if we keep the ball rolling, we're going to just see more and more growth. I mean, we are all relatively new converts. You and me, we've been received into the church for about 2 years now. Everyone else here has been here, what, maybe a year, if that? Maybe a little bit more, some of you. And so we're seeing that we're going to keep you, and then we're going to get more and more new people as long as they feel welcomed. And then that's going to be the same thing with the priesthood, where more and more young men become more and more men of God, and hopefully more and more priests. So that's going to be a longer term issue because it takes a while to become a priest, but that starts here. If we don't do this though, we're going to have less people come into the church. We are going to have less families come in and feel welcomed. And then we're also going to have less people stay because the problems that we might have left might come back to follow us, and we don't have that community to help us. We might just run away again and run away from the community and run away from the church. You know, we really have lightning in the bottle right now with the unprecedented surge of Christians, or even non-Christians, who are finally coming to the Orthodox faith. And it really would be a disservice to us, to them, and to God to let that lightning out of the bottle. So in conclusion, we are in the apex of a movement right now where we can either decide to help God and help the church, or we can just enjoy it while it lasts and then 10, 20, 50 years wonder what happened. Now, we are off to a great start. We are doing what is right for us at the moment, but we need to make sure that we're always in tune on what is right for us at every moment. So in the future, when we start families, and when we're no longer young adults, but just adults, we need to make sure that these next generations are doing what we're doing as well. And so we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're young men, we're strong, we're Christians, we're prayerful, and so we'll be in safe hands. Thank you, everybody.